Welcome to Throw Off the Lines, the podcast where we navigate life's changes, explore new horizons, and embrace the journey. I'm your host, Stephanie York, an executive coach with a passion for charting new courses on the water and in life. Ready for some total change? Let's dive in. Hi there, and welcome back to Throw Off the Lines. I'm your host, Stephanie York, and I am here about a topic today that I have been talking about publishing, and it's about dating. And it's a little bit maybe different than, I'm not going to go through, this is what I did on this dating website, because there's a bunch of those. And I could definitely talk about ways to improve your profile. There's tons of videos and information out there. I want to talk a little bit about my experience with dating and what I would recommend to my best friend. A lot of these podcasts are things that I would recommend to my clients if they were going through a situation, and based on my own real life experience. So how do you know I'm not AI? Because I went through this stuff. I guess there's a lot of AI audio and video and stuff going on out there, but who knows? It's all going to grow and change and shift, just like our world always has. So anyways, I wanted to go into the big world of relationships that you yourself may be back in, and about trying to meet a new person. Now, I found myself dating again, and I had some things that I had to relearn, and I've gone kind of through a transition on this. I did a lot of work on myself before I started dating, but I realized pretty quickly that I was not prepared for people who had been in the dating world a long time. And I did not know how to react to certain things, and I was not in a rush to have a relationship because I had just gotten out of a marriage. So, I was ready to have a relationship with a person if I liked them and I found them to be funny and they added to my life, didn't take away from my life, which I think is what we all should want. But it also meant that I was not as available as some of the other potential partners that were out there. Some people who had been looking for years wanted to know that I was serious and available for a long-term relationship and to be their one and only. And man, I just wanted to be my own one and only. And again, that's a lot of what this podcast is about. So I think what I want to talk about today is preparing yourself for dating out there in the world, or putting yourself in the shoes of people who are dating out in the world, and just being aware of your presence in this environment where we're introducing ourselves to people, we're becoming vulnerable. And, so I had to pull back from dating over a year ago and think through what I needed to work on and what did I want. And now, how did I want to make those changes? And then I got to work on myself, and I kept building on my own set of tools that I could use. And I really, really wanted people to start thinking about the fact that if you're trying to go out and date, and I talked to a lot of men and women about this over the course of the last year as I make new friends and I find out people who are single that I'm hanging out with as friends have been dating maybe for 5, 6, 7 years. And they're negative on all the apps. I think a lot of people are down on the apps, and they have good, valid reasons to be, because these apps are all owned by just a couple of companies, and their revenue stream is to get us to click and pay for more because we're lonely, or we want a relationship, and we think if we buy 5 more likes and then we send them to somebody and then they like us, and meanwhile the people that are on the apps we don't even know if they're the type of people that we want to meet, and we don't know enough about ourselves. So I often will read a list of somebody wants this and this and this and this and this. But, I often wonder, are they those same things? If I'm a woman and I want a man to be emotionally available and I want him to be well off financially and own a home and be a great cook and be a good listener and be affectionate and be compassionate and be a gift giver, I need to bring those same things to the table. If I want him emotionally available and healthy and healed from his past relationships, I got to be that too. And I was pretty emotionally available. I hadn't taken enough time to heal some of the parts of me So I ended up almost immediately meeting a narcissist, one of my first people I dated, and holy cow, knocked me off my feet. I evidently was very vulnerable and hadn't put up good, solid emotional boundaries because I'm very open to people. I love, 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 love people. And here I got taken advantage of a little bit. It's my own fault, but I learned really quickly, I don't want somebody who isn't considerate of me and throws me into situations that I don't like, or tries to take ownership of me within the first 3 dates, and who displays, gaslighting tendencies, which I didn't know gaslighting nearly as much as I do now that I've gone on a couple of dates with a narcissist over a year ago. But I don't want to label everybody out the door, but I had to get stronger and more aware of who I am and what I wanted in my life I needed to be happy and whole. So, to be ready for dating, I strongly recommend focusing on building a strong sense of self by knowing what your values are. And I'm a big, firm believer in using a journal and writing down what your values are. And if you don't know what values are, look them up. Type in what are standard values in Google search. And you got to be comfortable with who you are. You can't say, I'm going to lose 10 pounds in a year, or I'm going to lose weight and get back into those jeans and those things. Especially now at the age I'm at, this is my body. And if I haven't worked hard now to get to where my body's at, I'm not going to magically make it better or different in 6 months. So I have to accept who I am and be comfortable with who I am and be comfortable with the fact that I often laugh really loud and inappropriately. And I find very quirky things, oddly things, funny. And understand that I have a more informal relationship with the world. So if I meet somebody who's really formal and very businessy and, buttoned up, they might not be as comfortable with me. And I need to kind of recognize that. And I also love to joke with people. So if I'm joking or kidding with somebody and that bothers them, then that person may be uncomfortable with me, and I might want to rethink. But I have to know that about myself. I love to tease people, and I try not to do it as much as I used to. But anyways, you also have to have a very fulfilling life outside of a potential partner. We can't look for somebody to fix us. I actually went on a date and the person across the table from me said, "Oh, wow, I'm a really low key, kind of laid back person and you're such high energy. I really, really need that in my life. I think that we would be great together because you're so much energy and fun." And I thought, no, I want you to bring some fun and energy to my life too. So I have a very fulfilling life. I have great hobbies. If you don't have hobbies, you need to get some things that are going to be there for you when that person isn't. What are you doing to lead a more fulfilling life? And I'm not saying you got to go out and race sailboats across oceans like I do. And I'm not saying that you got to go, hike mountains, although hiking is really good for you and getting outside is amazing. But, start knitting and meet people who knit. Have friends. Have a fulfilling life that if that person that you go on a date with is fantastic, but they decide that they don't want to date you anymore, you still have everything you brought to the table. You didn't create something made up or real with them. And if you date somebody for a month and a half, you still have a life. You are still fulfilled. You've got to do that. And we're going to go over some ways to do it. Maybe that's another podcast, but in dating, everything you want the other person to be, you should be. You should be kind. You should be considerate. Look at the other person as risking as much as you are. And if they do something that steps over a boundary, if they treat you a certain way, I recently had somebody send me messages that said, "Okay, honey, okay, darling," or they just send a hi, the laziest message. I don't know that that's enough effort. And I'm not going to shut somebody off for that, but be aware that you need to ask questions. You need to engage in the thing and understand what you want from a relationship. Do you want a full-time move in together leading to marriage relationship then put that in your profile, because there are a lot of people out there looking for marriage. There's a lot of people out there looking for kids. There's a lot of people that want their best friend, their ride or die. And if you put that in there, then they know that. And then you guys are looking for the same thing. But, don't for a second think that you can say you want to have casual relationships if you are looking for a long-term one. Be honest, be clear, put what you want down, and it'll sift through the people you don't want to meet. And you'll pretty quickly see if there are those people. I myself am not looking for a long-term relationship. I'm trying to figure it out. If I met somebody today that was perfectly identical and compatible with me, I am open to a long-term relationship. But am I looking for one right now? No, not necessarily. I'm dating to have fun. And if I meet somebody that I just can't get enough of, then we'll keep dating for a while. But there are tons of people on the apps out there that are saying long-term relationship, committed relationship. And that might be your people, but be honest. What do you want? And while you're also being open and honest about your needs and expectations with potential partners, consider what some of the key things are you need to work on to be ready for dating. And even if you've been dating for a long time, we have to talk about some of these things that you could continue to improve on. I'm always working on improving myself. So, key aspects for getting ready for dating, whether you're brand new to it or whether you've been doing it for 15 years or whatever the dating thing is, it's discouraging. But we all want to have somebody special to share our life with, to be a witness to our life, and to have that romantic connection, absolutely, and an investment of time and emotion and inside jokes and somebody to hold our hand, somebody to be there for us, that we all want that. But in order to find the person that you really are craving and wanting, you have to have a few things ready. And one of them, first and foremost, is self-awareness. I would put this at the top of the list of a podcast on knowing yourself better. And when we talk about self-awareness, it's reflect on your past relationships. I was just recently talking to some friends about my past long-term relationships, and boy, this one sounded really bad. That one sounded really bad. And what was the common denominator in these relationships? It was me. And I feel like my last relationship, my husband was a wonderful man, and we were together 17 years, and there were a lot of really good things there, and it was healthy. So the crazier past relationships I had when I was younger was because I wasn't a healthy person. And in each of them, I learned more and got healthier. But I have to be self-aware now in what part did I take in the unhealthiness of those relationships? And then I had to identify the deal breakers and the things I learned from those relationships. What did I do incorrectly, and what can I heal? What do I need to be aware of? And then I have to understand the qualities that I'm looking for in a partner. And I'm a really, really big fan of a list. That list says, okay, I kind of want him to be a good cook. I don't need him to be a great cook, but I'd like him to make a couple of meals. I don't want to make all the food because I love to cook, but there are days I do not want to cook. And if that guy has a couple of signature dishes and he can go to and make them for me, or he can say, hey, Thursday night I'm making dinner and it's spaghetti, I don't care. But I wanted him to be a cook, so not necessarily good, but it's got to be edible. But, I put that on a list and I say, I want him to clean up and be presentable, because in my past, I've been with people who didn't wear nice clothes ever. It was flip-flops and shorts and t-shirts, and that was it. And it was hard to go to do nice things I wanted to do. And write off ever dressing nice and throw away all the high heels and things. So is it important to occasionally, a couple of times a year, dress up for an event and go somewhere? Yeah, I kind of would like to do that. So that's on my list. And I don't need to go to expensive places, but to feel special about things. And I want somebody who is kind and considerate and is good to waiters and waitresses, kind to people in their environment, in their world, doesn't yell at people, doesn't have an anger issue. So start your own list, and it doesn't have to be super long, but something will pop up. Maybe you'll have a date and you'll have an experience, and all of a sudden you'll say, no narcissists. And so I'll put no narcissists on there. Or, I want somebody who's done some work on themselves. That's really, really, really important. So starting to be self-aware of what do you bring to the table? What do you need to work on? What boundaries do you need to create? What are your deal breakers in somebody? I have a friend who is in a startup business at a really high level. She needs somebody that will dress up professionally, that she could take to events and conferences and can hold a good conversation in those environments. That's a very specific deal breaker, but she knows that she needs that kind of person in order to have somebody in her life. So then you also should be working on positive self-esteem. Appreciate your strengths and work on self-improvement where you need. And if that means that you are heavier than you want to be, you're not sleeping well, self-care, self-care, self-care. Clean up your diet. This is basically one of my next things is a healthy lifestyle. Where are you feeling negative about things? If you feel negative about dating, you probably shouldn't start dating. You aren't ready to open yourself up. You've had some bad experiences. How can you self-therapy yourself or get a therapist? Get a journal and start writing your experiences from dating and realize where in that dating experience should you have ended it. Because date 3, I knew right away that he kicked puppies. And I can't be around somebody who kicked puppies, but he's so cute and he's so handsome and he's in such great shape and he makes really good money, but he kicks puppies. Well, did you stay around even though he kicks puppies for date 6? Did you date this guy for 3 months, 6 months? What about mentions other women in his life, talks about women like a possession or something like that? Well, if you have self-esteem and you feel good about yourself, whether you're extremely drawn to that person, you can realize, no, I am working on myself and I need somebody who's working on themselves. So what is it going to take for you to realize that you are a really smart, funny person? And that you have a good group of friends. You've worked on finding friends and making friends, and they're important to you. And, you can stand up for yourself and you can decide this person has about 5 of the things I want, but you know what? I have a really good heart and I deserve to give that really good heart and all this wonderful stuff I have going on in my life to somebody who treats me better or treats other people better. And that self-esteem is when you're going to find a good partner because they're going to recognize that strength in you. And everybody, I don't care who you are, you have good qualities, you have good attributes, and you need to start making a list of who you want in your life and a list of what you like about yourself. Do that in your journal. Put them next to each other. You have to have a healthy lifestyle if you're going to put yourself out there. I'm going to go into a podcast about what I do to be healthy and fit, my self-care routines, and put it out there. This is what I do. But if you're not prioritizing your physical and your mental well-being through exercise and good nutrition and stress management, you're probably not emotionally available enough to be in a relationship. Now, if you just started to exercise and you want to put yourself out there dating, great. But realizing that you're maybe not at your optimum fitness and you're going to feel maybe bad about that. Cut yourself some slack. Cut the other person some slack. Talk about, hey, I just started working out when you meet somebody. And say, I really want to be fit and I'm really working towards these goals. That's a part of a communication that you can have with somebody you just met. Ask them what they do to exercise and stay fit and what do they like to do as a hobby. Who knows? You might be more compatible than they might be struggling with getting back to a gym too. So eat well, eat healthy. When you're healthy inside, you glow from the inside out. Your skin looks better. You're sleeping better. You have better mental capacity. That's critical to having a good experience in dating. It's critical to your life, period, let alone when you're meeting other people and being able to sift through the ones that are for you. You need to have an independent life. This goes back kind of to self-awareness, but you need to have hobbies and social activities outside of dating that bring you joy. Maybe start photography. There are photography classes that will teach you how to use your cell phone, whichever kind you have, on how to take pictures, how to use the settings in there. There's a great website that I was using years back. I had one of those big cameras, and it's called A Year with a Camera, A Year with Your Camera, or A Year with the Camera. Oh, geez, I'm going to look it up and put it in the show notes. I'm going to make a note to myself right now. This is a way that you could sign up and start with the same amount of people. I know when I started, there were 10 people who signed up my month. We were all in the same month, and we were all learning the same skills and posting on the website pictures we had taken and things we were learning. And I kind of took up this hobby of photography. People are getting into knitting. Maybe your hobby could be going out and hiking, or maybe there's tree people in Los Angeles. You want to learn about, planting more trees for the environment. Look on meetup.com, start a meetup.com. Dungeons and Dragons, you have a club that starts playing Dungeons and Dragons, or maybe you go to trivia night and you meet more people who love trivia, and then you make friends, and you showing up at the same place, showing up at trivia every week at the same time, week after week, means you will meet people. Even if you go by yourself, you'll join a team. That's how people get to know you, and you have more friends. And believe me, having more friends insulates you against anything that's difficult in the dating world. It's empowering and really important. And then you need to also find out about how to open up your communication, be able to express your needs and your feelings honestly and directly with potential partners. Start by opening up about your feelings and your needs with your friends, and sift through what's important. Practice date with your friends. That's always a lot of fun. Kind of role play and say, well, I'm uncomfortable talking about my past marriage. How would I do that if I'm dating somebody? And then say, okay, I'm on a date with you. Okay, I'm going to explain my marriage and what happened so I don't feel like a fool. Anyways, also, I'm going to do a whole episode on emotional intelligence and emotional EQ, as we call it. Understand your own emotions and be able to navigate the emotions of other people. And this is a skill that you can practice. I actually have it in my leadership training that I use for executives. It's being aware of the other person, listening, which is another whole podcast, listening to that person and remembering where they're from, remembering that they mentioned that when they were kids, they fell out of a tree and broke their arm. Listening, do they have kids? Where are their kids at? What do their kids do? And being emotionally intelligent and understanding how you feel about them having kids, and not reacting to something. Like my ex-boyfriend, who was really mean to me, said this one phrase, and now my date just said this one phrase. Have I processed that? Am I emotionally intelligent enough about my responses? And then have respectful boundaries. Know what you're comfortable with and be able to set clear boundaries in dating interactions. And you could just Google setting boundaries. That might be another one that I do as well. It's really important to understand boundaries. I myself didn't have boundaries when I was younger, and I'm working on better and better boundaries now. And I'm working on understanding other people's boundaries. So the signs that you might not be ready for dating, which I think is really important, because I bumped into some people on dating websites that were not ready to be dating. I met a widower, and I had a visceral reaction to dating somebody that I felt I held a lot of responsibility for. This person whose wife hadn't even been a year yet. And I didn't handle it well at all. It was the relationship that made me stop dating. And I feel like I may have hurt that person. And so, if you might not be ready for dating if you're rebounding from a breakup. So if you broke up with somebody and you just feel like, I got to get back out there. I felt old and I lost a lot of time, and I felt like I should get out there and date. And I'm really, really glad I did. And I'm glad I went through the short period that I did before I realized I needed to heal some more. But you've got to process emotions before starting to date again, because you'll hurt other people. That's my priority. Is I hate dating because I end up hurting people. And I kind of have to get over that if I want to meet somebody. But if you haven't spent the time to heal, you might go and meet the perfect person for you. You've got your list of things that you want, and that person has all the things you want, but you still are wounded and you're reacting. And I want to go into, as soon as I go through some of these other things, attachment styles, we'll talk about how to recognize whether you're ready to date again or not. So if you're using dating to escape loneliness or seeking validation or a quick fix instead of genuine connection, you've got to reevaluate. And that kind of goes back to, are you rebounding from a breakup and you're lonely and you're desperate and that person hurt you really badly and you just want something to fill that void? Boy, you are not ready to meet someone. So you've got to really think about, am I trying to escape loneliness? Because I have to resolve loneliness myself. And I know that after my breakup, I felt desperately lonely. And I could have really, really gotten hurt by the narcissist or a couple of the other people I dated that weren't really good for me. But I learned from each of them because I was on a healing journey path. Still am, always are. So dating is never going to be a way to escape loneliness. I highly recommend that you read books, listen to podcasts, and get some friends so that you can figure out how you are interacting with your world and what's causing you to not be able to heal. And if you're lonely, dating isn't going to fix it. Dating is just going to make it more magnified. Unresolved baggage. If you're carrying significant unresolved issues from your past relationship, I felt neglected. I felt abandoned emotionally by my past relationship. And I had to really heal from that and realize that all the signs were there. I had been abandoned a long time before I got bitter about it. And so I had to realize that I had to take responsibility for how long I stayed in my marriage. And when I did that and I resolved that and I felt better about myself and I felt more whole, well, then I was ready to meet somebody. But I started traveling, so I wasn't dating. And if you have a fear of commitment and you're avoiding serious relationships or being hesitant to open up, you may not be able to date. Absolutely go on dating websites and look for people who are looking for something casual. And then experiment with those people and finding your boundaries and finding how it can be just as lonely dating as it is being alone by yourself if you can't heal loneliness in yourself. So how to prepare for dating. Reflect on your goals. Consider what you want to achieve through dating, whether it's casual fun, a long-term commitment, or something in between. Articulate that. And write down, I just want to have a date for the holidays. Okay, so you should probably start in September because it takes a month and a half probably on these dating websites to even get somebody to meet you for coffee. So by the time you meet them in October, you got a date for Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. And who knows, that could be a long-term relationship. But if you just want to have fun, go to some of these speed dating things, meet somebody, have a plan. I want to go hiking and I want to find somebody who wants to hike with me, but also wants to hold my hand, or, reflect on what you want. Have you done this work? Or even if you're in the middle of this work and you want to meet somebody for a long-term relationship, you want to find your next special someone, then put that out there. Start manifesting around that. Start saying, I want a long-term relationship. What part of your life are you ready to merge with somebody? Do you want to wake up and make somebody coffee every day? Do you want to go to bed talking about your day's challenges? Do you want to plan vacations together? Do you want to have somebody who has a big family? Do you want to introduce somebody to your family? What do you want, and think about it. Then practice self-care. I'm a huge fan of journaling and meditating, as I think if you listen to my podcast, you hear all the time. And if you're practicing self-care, prioritize activities that make you feel good about yourself, like exercise, hobbies, spending time with supportive friends. That's going to prepare you for dating. If you've got things that you're doing that make you happy in your life, you're ready to add a person to it. and they are not going to fill your life with love and trust and support. You already have that in your life. Develop healthy coping mechanisms. This is huge, because if you get 10 people you're communicating with and you really like somebody and they don't message you back, or they ghost you, if you're communicating with somebody and all of a sudden they disappear and they unmatch, how are you going to manage that stress and those emotions? Some people will get stressed and they'll go out and they'll just grab somebody and maybe even just sleep with somebody because they've been hurt. That is not going to help you. That's going to set you back. And if you get rejected and then you go drink 2 bottles of wine, that is not going to help you. I'm going to do an episode on alcohol and how that's not helping anybody right now. So practice your self-care and take care of yourself and get healthy coping mechanisms. And if you really cannot move past a relationship, I in my past have had bad relationships, which I'm going to do I have lots of episodes to do, evidently. But I had to go through some therapy. And I had to really get in touch with the parts of me that were hurt, and I had to heal them. And I did journaling, I do my meditating, and I'm constantly working on myself. There's so many books and exercises and things that you can do. I practiced yoga, then I got certified to teach because it was just so rewarding. And there's all shapes and kinds of therapy, but if you're eating healthy and taking care of yourself and creating hobbies and getting good supportive friend networks, and you're living a fuller life, then therapy could be the one thing that you could use to counter relationships you had in your family. Did you have a parent that wasn't nice or supportive? Healing those things means when you get in a relationship, you're bringing your whole healthy self, and you can demand and ask for a whole healthy person. If you don't come to dating whole and healthy, you cannot demand or expect that from other people. You cannot ask that they have a great job and lots of money if you have $40,000 in credit card debt and you're skipping from job to job. You can't ask for things from people that you're not bringing yourself. That doesn't mean you have to own a house and have $1 million in the bank and a Fortune 500 job. It just means you have to have your debt under control. You have to, if you want somebody who's debt-free, you should be debt-free. You want somebody who's physically fit, you should be physically fit. You want somebody who's emotionally available, you should be emotionally available. So be the person you want to date. And be open to new experiences. I can't tell you how many people I've met who just say, well, I don't do that. Oh, I don't do that. Oh, you go do that. I don't do that. If you go and we all have to have boundaries, and we all know I don't like to be in the water and swim, then I'm not going to want to go with somebody who loves to swim. If I'm a mountain cold person, I'm probably not going to be as compatible with somebody who wants to spend their retirement on the beach, So, be open to new experiences, and that's where you're going to meet a diverse range of people. So, go to that festival with your friends. Go with that hiking group. Get uncomfortable. In discomfort is change. And when you want to change, go horseback riding. Go to a yoga retreat. If you feel like you can't be around people that much, it's a good idea to try and experiment to be around a few more people. It pays off in dividends. And then you have experiences to share on your dates. You have interesting stories, which is the number one killer of dates, when that person has nothing to say. So you've done this work. I'm going to put these lists in the show notes so you can go down and see the list of the things that I'm suggesting that you try. What did I work on myself to be a better partner when I'm dating is I truly, after being in the dating world a little bit, had to step back and look at what my attachment style was. So if I'm going to be dating, I have to realize what it is that I attach to and how I can be better at being in a relationship. Because regardless of whether we are in one now or have been in one, we've all exercised a certain attachment style. And I came out of my marriage a bit desperate, feeling for my age and what I felt was lost emotional years. And I'm at peace with that now. I'm a year past it, and forgiveness is so healing. I should probably do a podcast on forgiveness too. But what I needed to do, I came out and then I immediately got into some dates with this narcissist. And then I got into dates with this widower who I then started thinking about too much. Even when I stopped it and ended it, and I feel like I was hurtful, I had to realize that I still had an attachment to this person. I thought too much about them, and it's not good. So I really had to step way back and do some of this work. This is also going to be in the notes, and this is heavy lifting. So there's no way I'm going to be able to do attachment style in just this podcast, but I think it's important to touch on. So there's anxious attachment style, avoidant, disorganized, and secure. And anxious or preoccupied is where I found myself when I first started dating after I left my marriage. And I was really, really overly interested in what was going on with that person. If you're obsessing about somebody and preoccupied with them, and it's normal if you're in a new relationship to think about that person a lot. There's romantic love, there's a honeymoon period. But when that person rejects you, or that person isn't getting back to you, and you're obsessively thinking about them, and you're not leading a healthy, balanced life, you've let your friendships go, you are not focused on work, you're not eating right, you're drinking too much, you are going out risky behaviors, then you have maybe got an anxious attachment style, and you need to work on that, because if you meet a good, healthy person and you have an anxious attachment style to them, a healthy person is going to see that, feel that, and they're not going to respond well. Unless they just feel like you're the sky and the moon, and they know you're working on it, and they are patient with you. But a really healthy person is going to react very viscerally to an anxious person. The avoidant person is somebody who's dismissive, and I'm the opposite of avoidant. I'm right in there. But they're very hurtful. And if you're avoidant, or if somebody you're dating is avoidant and you're emotionally available and you've done all this work, it can be really hurtful. This person who I dated who was narcissistic, and I know that word is thrown around too much, so I'll just call him the artist. When I was dating the artist, I wasn't anxious as much as his avoidant or detached, dismissive means of dealing with me made me react and want, I guess, to get approval or to get a response or to get that next date. And I quickly recognized that in myself, that this person was acting dismissive towards me, and they were manipulating me and gaslighting me and making me feel like it was my fault. And if you're dismissive and you go out with somebody a couple of times and then you feel like, I'm going to just ignore them and get back to them, you should not be dating. You should be figuring out why you're not emotionally available to people. If somebody treats you that way and they hide from you and they don't, there's a term for this I see on Instagram all the time. It's, action is what speaks. Effort equals action. Effort equals interest. I know I'm not getting it right. Effort equals interest. So if somebody puts effort into getting to know you, that's healthy. Obviously, if they're not stalking you, please, that's a whole nother thing. But they should put in a healthy amount of effort. They should respond to your messages. They should respond to your request to go out. If they're dismissive, avoid them. If you're dismissive, get some help. And disorganized, this is referred to as kind of fearful avoidant, somebody who's chaotic. They kind of make plans, but they don't hold to them. They're flaky. Hey, let's go out Saturday. Oh, well, I'm kind of busy. This is somebody who has not grown up and hasn't dealt with their own issues, and is somebody you should create a boundary away from. And if you yourself are fearful and avoidant, which means you are afraid to be dating, you kind of put yourself out there and then you hide, and you put yourself out there and you hide, you're going to hurt people and you're going to hurt yourself. And you will have yourself open to somebody who is avoidant. And the last one is secure. So a secure attachment's what we're all looking for. I really like you. You really like me. I am open and you're open to figuring out whether this is going to work. Let's put ourselves in situations to get to know each other. Let's share a little bit about ourselves, a little bit more each time. Let's see if I'm comfortable in personal space with you. Do you tell me some of the things that you worry about? Do I tell you some of the things I worry about? When I'm away from you, I don't worry whether you're going to call me or not because I'm happy and self-secure. And I know if you call me, you're supposed to. And if you're healthy and I like you and you're secure in your attachment, then you will get a hold of me. If you don't get a hold of me, then you weren't meant for me. And that's creating all these boundaries and goals and working on yourself. We want to be securely attached, and we can heal. And I discovered due to my past relationships and my needs not being met in my most recent one that, being anxious in attachment wasn't working for me. So the last year I've been working really hard on my passions. I stopped dating completely and I published 3 books and I got back into coaching and I started traveling and I did a sail trip from New Zealand to Fiji, which I want to do a podcast about my sailing. And then I went and met some more people and I traveled some more. And then I did my podcast, which I said I was going to do. And I'm purposeful and I'm happy and I'm so fulfilled in my personal life that if I met somebody and they added to my life, I could be very secure. If I don't hear from them, I'm not hurt by it. I'm not anxious about it. So you can fix an anxious attachment style, which I can talk to because it was mine, by focusing on building self-awareness, self-soothing techniques. I meditate, I walk, I exercise, I joined a gym, develop healthy communication skills, practice listening. There's books about listening. Listening is one of the best skills I've ever worked on in my life, and I use it daily as a coach. Set boundaries, seek therapy to understand those root causes. If you're anxious and you're not able to move past stuff, doesn't mean you have to be in therapy for years. You could do 3 sessions. CBT, I strongly, strongly recommend CBT. And there's books out there that you can get that are CBT based that help you walk through what you need to heal. So key strategies to healing your attachment style, basically therapy. Again, CBT. Self-reflection and awareness, recognize your anxious attachment patterns, identify what triggers you. If I don't get a call the day after a date, do I get anxious? Okay, why am I being anxious? Get a journal out, write down all the feelings that you're having, meditate, do some yoga, do a skill, get a book and read it. A fiction book would be great. Get your mind off of it, break the patterns. And understand how your past experiences might be influencing your current behaviors. Did you have somebody who was manipulating you? You're going to have to heal from that, or you're not going to be able to have a secure relationship. Self-esteem building, do things that build your self-esteem, practice mindfulness and relaxation techniques. They work for everything in your life. Again, boundary setting and challenge your negative thoughts. When you're having negative thoughts, are they real? Write them down. I'm probably doing more podcasts throughout the year on how to build self-esteem, how to create a positive self-talk. There's a great book out there I've already recommended in another podcast. And seek supportive relationships and understand, just remember, it takes time and effort. Key being effort. I have a podcast on effort. You have to put in effort to make yourself healthy and whole and available for a secure relationship. If you don't put that effort in, you could find the love of your life and derail it with your own behaviors. And that would be heartbreaking. I wouldn't want that for you. And then partner involvement can be very helpful. If you're in a relationship, openly communicate your needs and your anxieties with that partner. So if you're listening to this about dating and you're thinking about these anxious attachment styles, and you've got a healthy person that you're dating who's maybe even healthier than you, talk about your feelings and say, I'm going to work on not being anxious when I don't hear from you for a couple of days. I feel jealous about your relationship with your friends. I'm working on that and I'm going to get better about that. So, too often we feel like we're too old or not enough or whatever it is that sits in the back of our minds when we're back into dating. And I certainly felt too old. I don't now. I feel fantastic now. So yeah, watch out. When you get better, you get powerful. When you do the work to find peace and joy in who you are every day, it radiates from you. People see it from across the room. People want to be around somebody who's happy, and the sun is inside of you. So do the work so that you are glowing from inside. And when you're healthy and you find healthy people, you start to really quickly see unhealthy people. That's the key trigger here. If you're dating and you work on making yourself healthier, you will see unhealthy people, and that boundary will set itself for you because you'll be immediately aware of their unhealthy behavior, especially if they were yours. So all the work you do on yourself, all the healing and all the time is well spent. You're happier in your own life, and in turn, you find people who are happier in theirs. Friends and partners. This doesn't mean you're done. As you meet new people and start to talk to them and you uncover another thought or a feeling or maybe an inadequacy, I don't feel like I have nice enough clothes. I don't feel like I'm funny. I don't feel like people hear me. You're able to find new things you need to work on and continue to grow and get healthier. But it was meeting new people that really gave me a chance to say, aha, now, I need to work on that thing. I'm not old, I'm in a great place in my life. So I don't feel old anymore. Even when I'm around younger people, they're all struggling. They're all trying to find dating. They ask how I'm doing. I ask how they're doing. We learn from each other. Each time you put yourself out there, you create a chance to improve your relationship with yourself. And eventually you meet someone who's attracted to who you really are once you know who you are. So take the time every day to heal and get healthier and know it pays off in amazing ways in your life. And the world will open up and opportunities for all kinds of things come your way, not just dating. You don't know. You might have a new business partner. You might get offered a new job. You might find a new passion. You might find that you want to write a screenplay or whatever it is. You never know. It's our life purpose. Individually, it's our life purpose to live happier, more available, kinder, and loving lives. That's what we're on this planet for. And it doesn't have anything to do with relationships with other people. We're lucky if we find people who are available to us and partner with us. But our life purpose is to be happier, more available, kinder, and more loving. So step into who you could be and get healthier. And don't only find someone for who you want to share your life with, but maybe find a new best friend, and maybe that new best friend is you. So I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you've taken something from this. If you have any specific questions, email me at info@throwoffthelines, but just have a total day. Take care. Thank you for joining me on Throw Off the Lines. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe for future episodes and extras, and leave a review, share it with someone who needs a total inspiration. You can also find us on Facebook or Instagram and our Throw Off the Lines website. If you want to be a guest or have questions for the host, sign up on the website and we'll get back to you. Until next time, throw off those lines and live your best life.